In this 5-minute video essay, I shall be discussing what is genre and how useful it is for analysing film, with a specific focus on the genre of romantic comedy, also known as the rom-com. To best understand how genre analysis can be used, its benefits and weaknesses, we must first discuss how it came about. Genre criticism in film theory was developed in the 1970s, although it had existed for many decades prior in literary theory. Genre criticism was many theorists' response to the very individualised approach of auteur theory. Although, as Rick Altman states, one Hollywood genre may be borrowed with little change from another medium, such as literature, a second genre may develop slowly, change constantly, and surge recognisably before settling into a familiar pattern within the world of film. The precise nature of genre, in a definite definition, is continuously debated by theorists, and so genre theory can comprise a wide range of topics. However, it is generally thought that genre is a set of commonly recognised similarities between films, and this is the idea that we shall be continuing with. Auteur theory, or auteurism, is the line of film analysis that places the director as the primary creative force behind the choices made in a film, whereas genre criticism focuses on the wider societal impact that links films through themes, locations, narrative arcs, and so on. Auteurism, the predominant idea for analysis that came before, can be seen as a very narrow lens through which to analyse film, as one could argue that you are wrongly idolising or prioritising the singular mind in a collaborative project. The country of origin, the writers, the editors, the societal ideals of the time, these are all impacting contributors that are given less value through auteur theory. For example, if one was to compare the works of Richard Curtis, specifically Love Actually in 2003 and About Time in 2013, one may argue that when comparing the films of a singular creator, that it would be more prudent to employ auteur theory. However, using genre theory to compare these two works, one could see About Time as a response to Love Actually, going from displaying mastery of the genre to displaying the ability to subvert it, and yet still fit firmly within the rom-com genre. These two films are less about the person creating them than they are a dichotomy of the rom-com genre. Rom-coms are fueled by tropes and littered with cliches, which makes them very easy to compare and also rather formulaic to create, which some may say has led to an oversaturation of the genre occurring in the early 2000s, and was only further perpetuated by the subgenres of Christmas rom-coms and teenage rom-coms, which to this day are still regularly churned out by low-budget production companies such as Hallmark. About Time is presented as a traditional rom-com, where one is perhaps led to believe that it is about the love between the protagonist Tim and his eventual wife. However, their story is concluded almost halfway through, where a traditional rom-com would have ended at their wedding. However, this film continues, going on to explore the love between the parent and the child, with the emotional climax of the film being when the protagonist has to say goodbye to his father, Bill Nighy, for the very last time. The true love of the film is between them, subverting the traditional rom-com focus on marital love, instead focusing on parental love. Even the wedding scene itself focuses far more time on the best man speech delivered by the father than it does to the wedding.
But important first to say the one big thing. I've only loved 3 men in my life. My dad was a frosty bugger, so that only leaves Dear Uncle Desmond, B.B. King, obviously, and this young man here.
In focusing on the one form of love, through marriage, rom-coms could be accused of consistently pushing the heteronormative life aspirations of early marriage, children, and the perfect home life, rarely, if ever, showing someone happy and fulfilled by their career or being on their own, certainly not without some form of flaw. For example, in Mamma Mia, Meryl Streep's character, Donna Sheridan's 2 best friends, are both older single women that have either had a string of failed relationships or are seemingly happy with a successful cooking career. However, for this, she is mocked, and her story ends up with her changing her lone wolf ways.
It's time to find Mr. Right.
Oh, please! Boring! Great couple of role models you two are for Sophie. The serial bride and the little hermit over here.
That's me. I'm a lone wolf.
This kind of filmic analysis is only available through the lens of genre, as through it you can spot and compare similarities between films and the reflections of society. Auteur theory would have you focus on the intentional choices of the filmmaker rather than identifying the unconscious assertions of a society. Grant reiterates, whether it fulfills, violates, or subverts generic convention in their mythic capacity, genre films provide a means for cultural dialogue, engaging their audiences in a shared discourse that reaffirms, challenges, and tests cultural values and identity. Cultures are rarely homogeneous, but through genre, similarities can be identified as approaches to a romantic comedy parallel one another, with the basic idea for the rom-com being found in the cinemas of nations all around the world. If we accept that genres are simply types or kinds of films, there is no logical reason for excluding either such non-American instances as the Indian mythological, the Japanese samurai film, or the Hong Kong swordplay film. One can also use a study of genre to identify subtle differences in seemingly closely related subgenres, such as the American versus the British rom-com, which at first glance appear almost identical in approach to the genre. However, the British rom-com seems to focus on the awkward dry humour derived from the British shyness, whereas the American rom-com can often display a rose-tinted view of the dating world. Genre theory here, assisting analysis of the cultural differences across the pond. Genre analysis in film theory was developed to, in its very nature, expand the range of a theorist to comment upon a work growing from the narrow perspective of auteurism to encompass far more of the environmental impacts on a film. It allows one to consider far more than the individual creator, but instead to analyse the intricate similarities between films, creating genres. These identifications can go on to inform analysis of broader society and the two-way impact of the film industry.